G'day and welcome back to the Weedy garden, the lovely garden on the hill. Another beautiful day here, and on this video we're going to be talking about comfrey, this amazing plant. When I first started my Weedy garden here a few years ago, one of the first plants that people were asking me if I grew was comfrey, and there's a reason why, because comfrey is an amazing plant. And on this video I got Elle again to visit, and I'm going to tell you what you can do with comfrey in the garden and how you can get all the goodness out of it for your plants. And Elle, she's going to tell us all the amazing medicinal qualities that this plant has for our bodies. It's an amazing healing plant. It's called Knitbone. If you haven't heard of that, that's an obvious name for a plant that's really good to heal your bones. When I say the words comfrey, it reminds me of being free. It's like saying, come and be free. Comfrey is one of the best plants you can have in your garden. And now I know a little bit more about comfrey, I know exactly why it's a popular plant. See, it's got this long taproot that goes really deep into the ground, and that collects all the minerals that all these other plants on top can't get, you see. And it brings those minerals up and brings them out and puts them in the leaves. And that's why these leaves are so amazing. A plant like this they call also an accumulator. All right? Accumulator. That means that it accumulates organic material and organic mass. And it's a really good idea to plant them around your fruit trees. Like, see, I've got my little Brazilian cherry tree here, and I've got all this comfrey growing around the base of it. One, it stops the weeds coming up, and the taproots are going way down deep there, so they're not sort of competing with the nutrients from my Brazilian cherry tree. And secondly, it's a little living compost. See, if you look in here, you can see these are the nice fresh green leaves, good for the medicine and good for the compost and making tea out of it. I'm not talking about the tea that we drink, because it's not good for you. You don't want to have comfrey tea. The comfrey tea is like a fertilizer we make for the garden. You don't want to eat comfrey leaves, or you don't want to drink comfrey tea. That's important. But if you look down here, underneath here, you see these dry leaves. See these old leaves? These are the ones that are just going to turn into soil. Right? And so the little microorganisms that are living down there, they're going to try to break that down and feed it to my Brazilian cherry tree. Right? See, comfrey leaves, they come in all sizes. See, little ones like that to huge big ones like this one here. So if you've got comfrey growing around your plants, you don't have weeds growing around your plants. But another really good thing it's for is over here, look, yeah, look, fresh comfrey leaves, they'll lay more eggs. And they're good for the chickens because they've got a lot of vitamin B12 and a lot of vitamin A and protein. And that's the protein, I guess, that makes them want to lay more eggs. If I just pull this out, see that? See all those long roots? They're the ones that go down. And this plant here has probably only been in the ground for a month or 6 weeks. I'll give this handful to Elle so she can make some salve. Okay? See, put this in the ground. It's like a little chicken foot. See that? See, I've got another one there. Probably make that into 2 actually. See, I could chuck that in the ground. That'd definitely come. Have a guess how many I could make out of this. Have a guess. I could probably make about 50. Alright? All I need is a little bit like 3 centimeters long. As big as my little finger, but probably for you as big as your thumb, because I'm a big fella. That's all you need. See, like that. And I'll just get a bunch of these and I'll just go and plant them around the bottom of my fig tree. And that'll eventually stop all these weeds coming up. So I'm just going to clear a little area, little circle, and I'm just going to drop these in like that. Just going to put them all around here like that, and then I'm just going to get some soil and put a little circle of soil on top. I just give them a little bit of water because it's not going to rain for another week or so here up in the Weedy garden. So when you just put the little roots in the ground, you've got to make sure they don't dry out. So just keep the water up to them until they start to establish. Set and forget. They're actually going to just power and overtake all the other weeds there. So moving right along. And here we go. We're several months later and we've got comfrey coming up all over the place down here, see? It's kind of surrounding the whole fig tree. A little bit of grass still finding its way through there, but this is nice. Got to be careful not to pull the roots out because it's so little. Lots of figs on this tree at the moment too. We had a hailstorm here a few days ago. It just, wow. So the comfrey does look a bit battered at the moment. Okay, I'm just going to stick a couple of my comfrey down next to my wormwood. There we go. Alright, before we go over to Elle, I'm just going to show you quickly how to make the comfrey tea. The most simplest and easiest thing to do is make comfrey tea, not to drink internally, only for your garden. You see I've got the comfrey leaves chopped up, about 3/4 full, and I just fill it up with water. I use creek water, nice and pure from the sky, rainwater. I wouldn't use town water if you can avoid it, because I think town water's got things in it that's going to kill the bacteria, and you want this to breed bacteria. You can make it with lactobacillus bacteria and molasses and make those beautiful concoctions that I've done previously on my channel, or you can just leave it like this with water and let it sit for, if it's winter like it is now, probably 6 weeks, but in the summertime when it's a bit warmer you can just let it sit for 3 weeks. So 3 to 6 weeks, and you'll know when it's ready because it'll stink. It'll be kind of all sludgy and gluggy and it'll smell really bad. And so you might be thinking, how am I going to use this? Well, you can use it straight up for your fruit trees, or you can water it down 50-50 with water, just like this, for the trees. And in the vegetable garden, this is like 50-50 water, just like that. Comfrey loves to have the sun, so a good sunny position is good for comfrey, but it will tolerate the shade as well. It grows pretty much everywhere. And I've got it down in my swales in the shade. It's also growing in the sun, and the leaves are just as big as each other, whether it's in the sun or in the shade. It's an extremely hardy plant, and it'll grow in most soils. It's especially useful for heavy clay soils to break up the clay and mine the minerals down deep in the soil. It doesn't need much love. It'll take care of itself and it'll thrive. Comfrey is a hardy perennial, and it comes from Europe and Asia. And where I am here in the Weedy garden, it's subtropical, so the plant will grow all year round. But if you're living in a climate where you get cold winters and frosts, the leaves will die off during the winter time, but the root will stay live in the ground and come back in the springtime. So that's the comfrey tea. That's the plant in the comfrey. Okay, so I'll hand you over to Elle now, and she can talk about the medicinal qualities of comfrey.
Thanks, Weedy. So that's all about the garden. But now let's talk about the medicine for the body. So what we want to do with comfrey is we will use the aerial parts externally for our body. So back in the day, people used to drink comfrey tea, but recently they've found a whole heap of research to say that it's really carcinogenic because there's alkaloids inside it that can really damage your liver and make you quite sick. So my advice to you is probably give it a miss. You don't really need it. So comfrey is good for bruises and sprains and breaks. It's called Knitbone. So what it does is it actually knits bones back together that have been broken. So we also use it for osteoarthritis and any sort of joint injuries or deep tissue problems. For example, my kids play soccer. When they get a massive big bruise on their legs or something like that, I will make a nice poultice or salve, and then on goes the comfrey. And then within a couple of days, it's good. Comfrey helps with cell regeneration, and it also helps to fight inflammation and help reduce pain. Now imagine Weedy hurt his elbow. I'm going to show you how to make a poultice that will help. So all you really need is chopping board, some comfrey leaves, a big knife, and a bandage. You just kind of want to dice it up. You want to make it all small pieces and kind of squishy. Now if you want, you can put a little bit of oil in it to help it stick.
Oh, it's hurting a lot just in my elbow. I'll just get all this comfrey and put it on my elbow, and I'll just hold it. And there we go, look at that, see? Hang on, I'm squashing my fingers in there. You want the comfrey there, I'll hold that.
Excellent.
And like this is garden first aid.
Garden first aid, that's right.
My head is in the way. Right, and then we'll just fast forward, like a nice little bow on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is good for an adult. So adults are generally okay with, like, if there's a sore or osteoarthritis or some sort of like serious joint pain, adults are like, yeah, fine, no worries, I'll use the poultice. It's a little bit messy, and sometimes kids can go, I'm not putting that on me.
I think what you're saying, there's another way to do it as well.
There's another way to do it as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to teach you guys now how to do a more kid-friendly version, which is a compress.
Yeah.
So let's try that. So we're making a herbal compress now. So this is very similar to just making a very strong tea. So you get your comfrey all chopped up, put it in to a glass bowl or something that'll withstand the boiling hot water heat. You then put in the boiling water. Just making it nice and covered. You can see just how much plant matter there is to actual water there. So you just sort of want to have it to the top of the plant matter, and then we leave it for 20 minutes to infuse. And we'll notice it'll gradually change colour to take on a lot of the plant's properties. So it should turn out a nice green colour. Comfrey is full of allantoin. Allantoin accelerates cellular mitosis, which just means that it speeds up the growth of new tissues. Comfrey is really anti-inflammatory, and that's because of the rosmarinic acid in the leaves. And the reason that it actually reduces the pain is because it's reducing the inflammation in the injury. So with comfrey, you don't really want to use them on big, deep open wounds, because the comfrey will cause cell regeneration so quickly that the outer layers of skin will actually heal, but underneath will still be damaged. It can cause abscesses and things like that. So we don't want to put it on anything that's like big or deep or open. So comfrey is not really suitable for people with liver disease or on medications that affect the liver. It's also not recommended for people that have any sort of alcoholism. If you have a damaged liver, you don't want to be using comfrey, because it could also damage your liver further. So women that are pregnant and breastfeeding aren't recommended to have comfrey either. You really want to make sure that you're using fresh comfrey and changing it every day, so that you've got that fresh plant matter to put onto the wound the next day.
So while we're sitting here waiting for the tea to get ready, I just want to explain there's another way, a more simple way to do this. All right, and that's just basically to put it on. You can feel the spiky things in your arm, but I've got a pretty strong skin, so it doesn't bother me, but little kids might not like that spiky feeling. That's why you chop it up into small pieces. It doesn't spike as much, because of those little hairs that I showed you before. All right, but the little hairs is the ones that do the goodness and do the healing part. All right. So
All right, to do the tea, it's not too hot, nice, I'm not going to burn you. Put it in like that.
okay. It's the wrist. Ow, ow, ow. We want a bandage?
Yep.
Okay.
Bandage them up.
It's like that. See, that's the tea cloth.
You see how messy we are?
It's nice and warm as well, actually, because, that's better. My poor old wrist, it's hurting.
And this should help with your inflammation.
Yeah, stops it getting all swollen. Thanks for doing my wrist.
Oh, you're welcome. So it's really important that before you put comfrey on a broken bone, you make sure that it's reset in place where it's actually meant to be again.
Yeah.
So maybe after a trip to the doctor, or after someone has put a joint back in, you make sure that you then put comfrey on after it's ready to be reset. If you can, leave it on for up to 6 hours and then take it off, go again.
You can also make salves out of these, can't you? You can make salves out of any sort of herbs.
Yep.
Do you reckon we should make a video on salves?
Let's make a comfrey salve video.
Okay, we'll do that on the next video. The next video that Elle comes to the garden, we'll show you how to make a salve. I actually got an idea. You could probably have a whole comfrey bath. Imagine if you're on a ski holiday and you go tumbling down the mountain and you like aches and pains all over the body. I'd come home and I'd light the fire underneath the bathtub and I'd fill it up with comfrey leaves and let it sit and warm up there for a few hours. And I'd take the leaves out and just lay in that whole bathtub of comfrey tea. And I'd probably feel a whole lot better. We had a good time up in the garden. I feel like a bit of a demonstration model, but I hope you got the gist of it and to sort of understand how easy it actually is to make your own medicine in your garden. I think it's really cool to have your own medicine right at your back door, especially if you live far away from any town and even further from a city. It's good to have it right on hand. Thanks very much for coming and sharing it all with us, Elle.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's always a good time in the garden. So enjoy your gardens and enjoy your lives. Remember, because no one else owns you. Have a nice day and I'll catch you on the next video.
See you from the Weedy garden.